This is Crash Team Rumble. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. We're taking a look at the beta for the game to get an idea of what the full experience is going to be. So if you are buying this game, or I guess any game on the Xbox Store, the affiliate link in the video description takes you to the Microsoft Store and supports the channel and all that great stuff, you know, alongside liking and subscribing. So that's really cool. So what are we getting here? It's a 4K resolution at 60 FPS, and yeah, it does actually look pretty good and play pretty smoothly. It does seem like, hopefully it's just limited content, because in the beta there's like 3 maps or something like that. The concept for this one's actually kind of interesting though, and I quite like it. It's very, very interesting. It's an intriguing game. So the idea is, you are kind of playing as these creatures and characters and stuff from the, well, Crash Bandicoot franchise. It's a Wumpa League. You might get that reference. Anyways, yeah, you are playing as the characters, and they all kind of have slightly different, like, kind of moves and combative things. Like, it's basically the same, no matter how you go about it. But, you know, they do kind of attack differently. They do have some different styles to them. And the goal is to collect, you know, the allotment of fruit in order to... Oh, wow, I'm actually surprised I got that kill there. In order to win the game. So these matches, they can be kind of fast. They can also take a while. And, you know, the map structuring is actually quite different between all the different options, and it does seem to, for the most part, actually capture the styling of the various Crash Bandicoot-like areas and stuff pretty well. So, yeah, it's definitely quite intriguing. So the goal, like I've mentioned, you are gathering the fruit, and you're taking it back to your base in order to score. You can attack opposing forces to prevent them from actually getting that, and that's kind of the back and forth. Then there is a bunch of different abilities and bonus things that you can do along the way. So there's these like crosses, which are like relics, and the relics can be used to unlock extra abilities, such as becoming a beach ball, unleashing the power of Loki Mask, or on this map, the UFO. So that's just kind of how those play. And then there's these little areas where you get like bonuses if you're able to hold down the drums and whatnot, which are kind of, you know, it's an interesting extra element of combat. And yeah, it's actually decently well balanced. I mean, if you got a good team, you've got a good team on this one, I gotta say. That's one thing I've really noticed. But yeah, it's got interesting balanced combat. Yeah, it's kind of neat. You can see, like, we can do the Junker Ball right here. Yeah, we got a couple more relics we would need for that. I think we've almost got the UFO too. I'm just kind of debating if I should be saving to get the UFO, or if I should just be trying to, like, show off the different modes and moves and stuff like that. It's hard to say. But, yeah, then you've also got your sort of, like, occasional ability option. So you can see on the right, bottom right there, I've got this, like, alien dude we throw him out occasionally. But you can do other things like a healing, like, locker, or there is also, I think of the best way to kind of put it. There's this, like, weird kind of shooting defensive thing. There's a few different options that you can do. And that really kind of explains the core gameplay loop. Like, literally fighting over these resources, trying to gather enough fruit, and then winning the match. The matches are usually quick. They can change from, like, a few minutes to, you know, basically being like 10 or so minutes long, I think. They're pretty fast-paced. And see, there's the giant creature dude. So he's pretty defensive and really powerful. Takes a lot of damage, which is interesting. So yeah, that's kind of the core gameplay concept of this one, is just kind of going back and forth in these rotating lobbies across these few maps that are present, which all look pretty good and detailed and offer different movement and different, like, things to do. And that's really the core loop. It's pretty straightforward. and I'm sure it's very easy to pick up. I mean, they give you like a base tutorial. Like, you can play competitively, or you can also sit there and you can like verse the AI locally. There's some training stuff, so like it's really, really easy to learn. And that looks like the end of the first match, so we'll jump into another map here in a sec. So yeah, it's 4v4, and it seems like there's elements of crossplay, at least, because, you know, it's got the Xbox logos and then other logos. And we're showing off a different character in this match, so you can see at least the moves are a little bit different, but I seem to work best with Crash, so, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. When talks go to the combat, I do actually find the combat to be rather interesting in this game. Because like I said, they're all a little bit different. Like, we've got our one pal there has a bit of like a sucking shooting ability. You know, Crash bashes this lady here. She's got a bit of a hua hua. And then, you know, Coco uses a bit of like machine gadgetry, I guess, to a degree. But yeah, they all kind of fight differently, and they've all got different kind of combative balancing when it comes to their movesets. But for the most part, it is really straightforward. You know, you kind of like dash, you can do like a bit of a pulverizing pump down, or like she does a bit of an uppercut a little bit, which is interesting. And then there's like your typical kind of kicking ability, right? So like combat is really straightforward, and it does change a little bit if you're in like one of the power balls or something like that. But a lot of the game is sort of like trying to remove your opponents from your area. Like, I find it's very strategic to kind of do like a bit of a slide attack, because that can push enemies off and they might end up in the water and die. But there's also like, you know, doing the stomps for more damage, or just getting those kicks off and breaking down the health, or working together. There's a ping system, which is pretty well done in regards to like, you know, kind of letting your teammates know what's up. And yeah, I mean, it does have elements of teamwork. I feel like you can also really quite do your own thing and not have too many problems. But, you know, it is team-based. It is about combat, working together, and trying to defeat the opposing team, getting enough points before they do, obviously. Which is, you know, quite a straightforward effort and setup. So I definitely say I quite like this. Like, it is very fun to play. It's very interesting. Earning-wise, obviously, we've got like a battle pass in here where you're getting like gear and, you know, kind of the cosmetics and stuff, and personalizing your game, and you can change all these little decorative things. I mean, it's just like a very typical multiplayer game of this sort. You know, I guess you would say in the modern era. Nothing too wild there, but, you know, very typical microtransactional elements that I kind of just anticipate at this point for this sort of thing. So yeah, just an element to kind of keep in mind there. In general, I'd say, you know, I quite like what they've got going for this one. I do sort of ponder, and you know, it is a beta, like we mentioned, it is a beta. But I do kind of ponder the long term, like the quantity of content that's available, how much content's going to be added. You know, because I was kind of like, we're sitting here doing like a few maps over and over again, and I'm like, I like the gameplay, but I feel like there's just not a whole lot kind of going on for me, if that makes sense. Like, I'm sort of just like, you know, it's very kind of repetitive in action. Like, I could see this being really good in kind of short little bursts and stuff, but I do ponder the long term of this one. And, you know, with its whole premium angle, and, you know, I do ponder if it's going to maybe perhaps go to a bit of a, you know, kind of free-to-play thing. And it's just like, it's kind of the nature of these, like, multiplayer focus games, and I'm kind of just curious about, you know, sort of the long term of this one when I kind of look at it, because I'm like, it is, you know, it's well polished, it runs well, it's fun, it's quirky, it's a neat concept for multiplayer, and, you know, it uses the Crash IP pretty effectively, I'd say. But you know, you do kind of sit there and be like, you know, where is this headed? Is this one really gonna deliver and connect? And we'll jump into another match. We're off for another Battle of Rumble. Yeah, I quite like this map too. But that's, again, what I'm trying to come across. Is I've seen, like, so many multiplayer games like this, and I kind of just sit here and go, like, cool, but, you know, what's your lasting gonna be like? And I think the Crash Bandicoot IP will help a lot. But I'm also just sort of pondering, you know, long-term elements of this one. Oh, he's gonna take all my fruit. Oh, it doesn't matter if he takes all my fruit, because I dove into the water and died tragically. But I think they do have a good basis here. I'm hoping this beta is just like a bit of a tease of the collection of maps that are present, and that the full game is significantly larger. Also, maybe hoping there's a bit more variation on game modes, because it really does seem like this is like the core game mode. And while it is kind of quirky in terms of like the different weird stuff you're doing, like match on match, it is kind of very much, you know, the same sort of structure. So either this competitive styling is gonna just absolutely, you know, hit the mark and people are gonna love it, or it's gonna be just kind of like, you know, one of those multiplayer games you enjoy for a bit and stuff like that. Which you know, there's nothing wrong with that in the slightest. You know, it's nice to have these little games come out and kind of jump in and play with them and have fun with them. It's always, to me, quite neat seeing like IP used in, you know, differing ways and stuff like that, and, you know, trying new things. Because that's the coolest part of this, is like it really is an attempt at doing like, hey, this is Crash Bandicoot, you know, the platforming, the movement you like, the hitting and stuff you like. We've just, you know, we're having a bit of fun with it. We're doing something a little bit new with it. And I'm always, like I said, appreciative of when we get to see, you know, stuff taken in different directions. It's just also very important to kind of ask about like the viability of certain things. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping this one hits the mark and actually has like a fresh amount of content. It would have also been cool to see, because, you know, you kind of think of something like, I guess you would say like Crash Team Racing, and it was like that one I think really deserved a longer kind of shelf life or shelf run than it got, really, because that one it felt like they almost completely cut that one short of its potential, and I'm sort of worried about this one too, you know, with that. But for a beta, it's a really good showcase of the game. It's not necessarily a beta where I'm going to be here like just wasting hours away. I think I've kind of gotten my fill, and now I'm sort of sitting here waiting to you know, praise the full allotment, I guess you would say, and see what the final big iteration has to offer, because I'm intrigued. Yeah, I am. I'm definitely like, okay, let's see what you got. Show me what you've got is literally kind of the big thought process here. Processing, that's not even a word. Is just kind of being like, are you guys gonna just nail it? You gonna have lots of stuff to do? You know, what's this gonna be like? Because it's cool unlocking some side things, I guess, but at the end of the day, it's also just kind of like, you know, I get some more outfits and stuff, whatever. Bonus bank. That's what I'm saying, we're gonna win this match really fast. You get through these lobbies, you gotta wait, and then, you know, you're just in there battling. I guess we did totally just rob them of that, I guess, with that big... Like, I literally won the match for our team on that one. Let's jump into the next one. Battle wages on as we want to once again try to get a match that is decently long. But that's the thing, right? Is it's like fast-paced, frantic action, and within this video you've already seen all of the maps that are present within this one. So it's like, you know... Like I said, I'm really hoping that there's a lot more behind this one. And if it is padded out with a good selection of maps, I could see myself having a grand time playing this for a bit. I don't know if it'll necessarily keep my attention long run wise. I'm thinking maybe the younger audience might really find this to be quite delightful. I'm, you know, also not too sure. Like, it is competitive for sure, yeah, but it's also fun and easy going. I guess there is that, like, sort of local element to it as well. You know, like, little easygoing combative stuff where you're just sort of, like, swatting at each other and hitting one another in a Crash Bandicoot type way. Might also be a good bit of a primer to get someone to check out the regular Crash Bandicoot series, I guess, but you know, this is also pretty removed from that element of gameplay. Like you're platforming, you're like bumping stuff, I guess, but not really. I don't know. It's a very, wow, that ball's annoying. It's a very interesting experiment and change-up concept on, you know, the Crash Bandicoot that we've seen in the past. I think if they're going to keep doing little spin-offs like this, that is kind of a good thing until they find stuff that really sticks. And I do kind of hope this one sort of, I guess you would say, finds its full grip, because, you know, it's definitely like a neat bit of Crash Bandicoot history and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, there's so much love for Crash Team Racing. I'm actually surprised that that one in itself hasn't, you know, seen like further iterations or expansions, because you would think that one would be one, you know, that players would kind of be wanting to see more from, you know, in regards to like a kart race follow-up. But then again, that one is pretty full of content and stuff like that. I guess you'd have to do a new kart one for the new era. I'm just kind of curious, like, the whole process behind this and what exactly pushed this one to kind of become a thing. As it's a neat setup, but I'm also like, huh. You think they would go for something that might be more guaranteed, sort of lucrative on top of this one? I don't know. But it's an interesting use of the IP, that is for sure. I'm genuinely fascinated that this exists as is, and we'll have to jump into another match. It's more into the Tiki Towers. I also like the world abilities. Kind of neat getting that big, like, Yuki kind of, like, mask attack. Like, there's enough going on in the match, though, where it's kind of like you don't feel like people are directly pressured to, like, keep attacking one another, but there's definitely, like, a lot of conflict. Like, it's a neat balance of you've got things to do, you've got things to do, everyone's kind of going off and doing their things. That is actually really quite effective in its usage. Bang, nice. But yeah, I do kind of sit here and be like, it would have been cool to have a new Crash Team Racing, or have the other one upgraded, or have, I don't know, Crash Bandicoot, the next Crash Bandicoot, or like a Spyro. I don't know. But I do like that they're using the IP in this way. I'm hoping they continue to do interesting little party games like this, you know, and I'm also kind of hoping as we look towards the future that maybe this is like a template for seeing, you know, kind of other IP getting mashed together in fun ways, because as long as this wasn't too crazy of an effort, it would be neat to see them to continue playing with larger quantities of, you know, gaming IP for fun little party games, mini games, and the like. So I'm, yeah, kind of just really curious about the full launch of this one. It's the biggest thing I'm trying to get across. I'm, yeah, having a good time with it. I just hope that there's more to kind of back it up. And, you know, obviously, being a beta, I should, you know, obviously keep that in mind. Like I've been trying to say the whole time too, that there is, you know, it's just a slice of the game. It's just to make sure everything runs properly, that everything is going smoothly. And I would say, as far as that is concerned, yeah, it's all running well. I haven't had any issues, just maybe some slightly slower matchmaking, but I would imagine that's due to the fact that it is, you know, a beta, right? So it's not gonna have the full capacity. But it's definitely going to provide some intense combat for sure, and to give you a good little idea of how this one's going. Like, I think this has been a really good actual showcase, just so you can really see what this has to offer, and it really gives you a glimpse into the combat, the style of play, and everything like that. And it'll either really be for you, or you're kind of going, I don't know. And that's totally fair, because I can't see the gameplay loop being too wild in comparison to what we're seeing here. So, you know, I think this is a fairly good showcase of what your expectations and stuff should be for the full release of the title. But cool, and generally solid so far.